Hey Phantom Central, I finally watched Black Adam yesterday. I'm here to share my thoughts. I don't want to beat around the bush, so I'm going to get right to it. This is a bad film, you guys. There were some parts of it that were good, but ultimately the bad outweighs the good. So I want to get into that. Before I get into my criticisms and rants about this film, I do want to say this up front. It gives me no pleasure to dive into the flaws of this movie because this is a passion project, guys. I acknowledged in my Journey to Black Adam video that I have always admired Dwayne Johnson's passion, perseverance, and commitment to this project, so I take no pleasure in saying bad things about this movie. But as a DC fan, this is how I feel, and I have to express it honestly. There are a few good things in this movie that actually made me enjoy parts of it. So let's talk about the good before we get to the bad. Starting off with the cinematography. The cinematographer of The Joker shot this film. I'm completely blanking on his name, but the movie looks gorgeous from a compositional point of view. There were a number of shots that look like they could be drawings in a Black Adam comic book. So the movie looked gorgeous. Some of the CGI was good. Some of the CGI gets really bad, especially towards the third act. Then seeing the JSA, particularly Hawkman and Dr. Fate, was a lot of fun in this movie, guys. I love Hawkman and Dr. Fate. They are two of my favorite DC characters, going all the way back to my childhood. Seeing Hawkman in Justice League Unlimited, seeing Dr. Fate in Justice League Unlimited was special moments for me, special moments in my childhood, I should say. Also, I'm a big Smallville fan, and in season 9 of Smallville, there's a two-part episode called Absolute Justice, which Hawkman and Dr. Fate have huge roles in. I love that episode. I loved seeing Hawkman and Dr. Fate in that show. So I was geeking out when I saw them in this big budget motion picture played by two fantastic actors who I thought were great choices to play these characters. Aldous Hodge is a great choice to play Hawkman. Pierce Brosnan is a great choice for Dr. Fate. Unfortunately, guys, that's where my positives end. I only have three good things to say about the movie: the cinematography, some of the CGI, and Aldous Hodge and Pierce Brosnan as Hawkman and Dr. Fate. The rest of this movie is a disappointment. Starting out with the script. I was concerned that this film had too many things going on, and my concerns were met. This film is jammed packed to a fault. It has to cover Black Adam's origin story, introduce the JSA, introduce Intergang. Sabak's story is weaved somewhere in this movie. It puts all of its eggs in one basket, and that's to the detriment of the movie. The film has way too much going on, way too fast, and it doesn't give you the time to process all the information that is being given to you, which leads to my second criticism of the movie. The film is only 2 hours long. Because it has so much ground to cover, the length of this movie doesn't give you enough space to care about what's happening, right? There's so much information thrown at you in such little time. It's overwhelming in certain places of the movie, and also it doesn't give you the space to care, especially when it comes to the characters. It does not get you invested in Teth Adam or the JSA members or the supporting cast like Adriana Tomez, her son, and her brother. I walked out not caring about anybody. Because there's very little interaction between characters, my goodness, the pace between the action sequences was too overwhelming for me. I mentioned that the movie did not get me to care about any of the characters, so let's walk through the portrayal of each character, starting off with the lead character himself, Black Adam. The movie does not do this character any justice, especially after the long waiting period, guys. It was so disappointing to the way they portrayed this character. Firstly, his introduction was very rushed. The movie begins with a heavy, fast paced exposition dump of how he got his powers. Then we transition to a sequence in modern day that releases him from his prison way too fast, way too soon. And you're led into the first action sequence of the movie. And I have some criticisms here. When Black Adam's released, we get into this very quick, very dramatic scene where he starts killing intergang members. The action was very similar to the action in Man of Steel, which is not a bad thing. I'm not criticizing the movie there. But all of a sudden, in the midst of this very intense, very dramatic action sequence, the super speed slows down and it goes into a very, very slow motion sequence, and the dramatic score that was playing in the background changes into a rock song, no pun intended, which changes the tone of this whole intense scene very drastically. It was so odd. I was watching the whole scene and I was caught off guard. I was like, what is happening here? Stylistically, I don't know what they were trying to go for. Another one of my nitpicks about this part of the film is that in the beginning of the film, we see Black Adam talk in an ancient Middle Eastern language. When he's released in modern day, he's still speaking this ancient language. But he gets knocked out, wakes up in Adriana Tomez's apartment, and suddenly talks perfect English without any explanation whatsoever. This movie takes some insane logic leaps. That tells you how bad the writing is, and it made me feel like they're treating the audiences as we're idiots. Like we just have to go with these stupid logic leaps and accept it for what it is. It is oversimplified to the point where it treats the audience with disrespect. And I didn't appreciate that when I was watching the movie. In regards to Black Adam, what has to be addressed is, of course, Dwayne Johnson as Black Adam. He has been waiting for a long time to play this character, and I was on his side, guys. Throughout these years, I wanted to see him be this character, and I wanted to support him as this character because it was his passion project. But I have to be honest, when I was watching this movie, I did not think he was a good choice to play Black Adam. I saw Dwayne Johnson in a Black Adam costume. I did not see an actor embodying this character. So on that front, I was disappointed as well. Then we come to the JSA. I mentioned that I thought that Aldous Hodge and Pierce Brosnan were good choices to play Hawkman and Dr. Fate. However, these actors are not given anything worthy of their talent. The JSA are in this movie just to get beaten up so that Black Adam will look good. We don't get any backstory to these characters, any context to their relationship, particularly Hawkman and Dr. Fate. Hawkman is a character in the comic books who has so many different versions, so many different iterations and continuities. They didn't explain to us which version of Hawkman this is. Is he the archaeologist Carter Hall from the 1940s? I don't know. Is he the Thanagarian cop Qatar Hall? They don't say. Is he the pharaoh who gets reincarnated every time he dies because he's cursed? They don't give us any context as to which iteration of Hawkman this is, which was a disappointment. And Dr. Fate, who is one of the most powerful beings in the DC universe, is significantly depowered in this film, and his abilities are not explained clearly either. For the uninitiated, this is how Dr. Fate's powers work. We have this object called the Helmet of Fate, and in this object is the spirit of Nabu, who is the god of fate. And anybody who wears this helmet is possessed by Nabu. And Nabu does not let go of the host very easily. So whenever Kent Nelson wears this helmet in the comics or the other stuff like the animated shows, he cannot take this helmet off easily. But in this film, Kent Nelson takes it off whenever he feels like it, and I thought there would be an explanation as to why this iteration of Dr. Fate is able to do that, but they don't explain it at all. As I mentioned before, you also don't get any context to the relationship between these characters, because the movie tries to make you believe that Hawkman and Dr. Fate have been friends for years and that they have this emotional bond. But frankly, guys, I didn't care. I didn't care that these two guys have history because they don't tell you what this history is. And towards the third act of the movie, Dr. Fate does sacrifice himself for Hawkman, and I didn't feel sad. I felt disappointed. I felt like we were robbed of a great character in the DC universe. When it comes to Atom Smasher and Cyclone, there is nothing much here to say, guys. I said in my Journey to Black Adam video that Atom Smasher was the JSA member that I was looking forward to seeing the most. Because in the JSA comics written by Jeff Johns, he and Black Adam have a cool friendship when Black Adam becomes a member of the JSA. So I was curious to see how their dynamic will be portrayed in this movie. But Atom Smasher is done dirty. What they were trying to do in this movie is that this is an inexperienced Atom Smasher who is going on his first mission as a superhero. But guys, there's a difference between inexperience and stupidity, and Atom Smasher was on the stupidity spectrum. This character, Al Rothstein, one of the marquee JSA members, is done dirty. And when it comes to Cyclone, she's there. I mean, these two characters are pointless. They are new recruits who join the JSA and are on their first mission, but I didn't get any information as to why they want to join the JSA, why they want to become heroes, what is their goals. And in fact, they have no growth arc. You think that if you have characters who are being heroes for the first time, you will see them have a growth arc from being inexperienced to being experienced heroes by the end. But nope, the characters are wasted and the two performers are wasted. Another one of my big complaints about this movie, guys, is that the film does not acknowledge any connection to its predecessor, Shazam. The Shazam movie is one of my favorite DC films of all time. I love that film so much, and I thought it was a great foundation for this Black Adam movie. A foundation that this film could have built on, but it doesn't. The Shazam film has a Black Adam Easter egg. In that movie, we are told that Black Adam was the first champion chosen by the Council of Wizards, who releases the 7 deadly sins into the world and messes everything up. This movie not only ignores that continuity, but it completely contradicts the continuity. Because what we find out in the film is the Council of Wizards does not choose 10th Adam, but it chooses his son instead. And we don't see him release the 7 deadly sins at all. The movie does not acknowledge the presence of Billy Batson or Zachary Levi's Shazam. I said it before, I'm going to say it again. I do not want to see Superman versus Black Adam. I want to see Shazam versus Black Adam, because these two characters have an interconnected mythology. And in the comic books, they have a connection with the Justice Society of America. At one point, they become members of the JSA at the same time. So there's a lot of world building potential to be explored, but The Rock clearly does not care about sharing the screen with Zachary Levi's Shazam. At least that's how I felt watching this movie. And if Dwayne Johnson is too much of a candy ass to see his character beaten by a 15-year-old, then I don't want to see anything with Dwayne Johnson and DC moving forward. It's better for the DC universe and better for the Shazam mythology to get rid of this guy and to get rid of this movie and whatever this movie tried to do, rather than trying to build off of it. When it comes to the execution of this movie, I don't blame Jean-Marc Collet-Serra, the director, at all. I blame Dwayne Johnson, because this is how I think he works. We know that he's a producer and he has a production company named Seven Bucks Productions. But from all the movies I've seen Dwayne Johnson make, here's how I think he works. I think he has a vision. He hires a director and he tells that director, know your role and shut your mouth. And he gets that director to execute his vision for that movie. Well, when it comes to Black Adam, his vision for this movie was really bad and the execution was so bad that I hope that DC does not do anything with Dwayne Johnson moving forward. The best thing they can do for Black Adam is hire a director who has a good vision for this character, then hire a good actor to execute that director's vision. I really hope that Dwayne Johnson, Hiram Garcia, and Danny Garcia have nothing to do with the DC universe moving forward, because Dwayne The Rock Johnson likes to say DC's in his blood, he's a fanboy, all these great things, but he clearly does not know what he's doing with these characters. What he did with Black Adam and the JSA was take a big shit on these characters and their mythology, guys. This was a bad movie. I don't want to see anything with The Rock moving forward. Well, I've totally forgot to mention about Sabak, the villain of this movie. He's there. I mean, that's what I can tell you. He's there. He turns into Sabak, gets his ass whooped by Black Adam and the JSA, and then the movie's over. There's not much to say about the villain. He was weak. He was completely useless. He's another character from Shazam's mythology that would have been better if they saved him for a Shazam movie so that he could have been utilized better in that film rather than just being thrown to the sidelines in this film. Overall, you guys, this is a movie that does not live up to its potential. Black Adam is one of the most complex and intriguing characters in the DC pantheon. They did not do any justice to his complexities and any of his intricacies. Dwayne Johnson has always said he gets one shot with Black Adam. Well, he took his shot and he completely missed the mark. The film, despite having a 4-year or nearly 4 years of development since Shazam 1 came out, did not deliver a good product. I'm just completely dumbfounded because they had more than 4 years to get this movie out, and I'm so shocked that this was the result. And there's honestly, guys, not much else I can say about it except for that I give Black Adam a 4 out of 10, and that's me being generous. This was a disappointment. It does not do the Black Adam character any justice, nor the JSA any justice. The best thing they can do is forget about this movie and start from scratch. Bring in a new Black Adam into the Shazam movies, and if they want to spin off from there, do it that way. My opinion aside, I know there are a lot of DC fanboys who enjoyed this film. I know there are a lot of Dwayne The Rock Johnson fanboys who like this film. So leave your thoughts in the comment below. I don't want to get into any arguments. I want to have a discussion. If you like this movie, tell me what you liked about it. Tell me why you disagree with my opinion. Let's have a discussion. Let's nerd out passionately about this movie. If you like this video, subscribe to my channel, give a thumbs up, hit that bell icon for notification, and until I see you next time, Fandom Central, goodbye.